Right, what's going on? It's Doug been doing Tuesdays for a little while, and then I had a bit of a scheduling conflict. So we are Wednesday today. Welcome. We're going to talk about finding your niche and answer questions generally. Please do let me know in the chat if you can hear me. It's always good to hear directly from the people like Bill, Roy, and Daniel and L Couch, what's going on. And I could hear myself. That is always a good sign. So, couple things. I always like to get some of the housekeeping out of the way early on here. So, number one, big thing is my course multi-profit site is open for enrollment right now. It's just open for another couple days. So Friday, April 22nd at 11:55 p.m. Mountain Time is when the enrollment closes. So you could hop over. There's of course a link in the description so you could check it out, see if it's a good fit for you. And it takes you through, starting a site, publishing content, getting things set up, promoting the site, monetizing, growing it, potentially selling it, starting an email list. It takes you from the very beginning to very advanced. And there's a couple different packages to see, whatever fits exactly what you're trying to do. So it's worth checking out. Another couple things. I do have a small bug flying around my face here, so we got to wave that away. Got a couple sponsors. We have Odys Global, that's ODYS, the source for aged domains with strong branding and powerful backlinks. We have Niche Website Builders, and I am actually working with them on a case study right now, publishing 200,000 words of content over about 4 months. But you could check out some of the stuff that they are doing, including saving some money using the coupon codes, which you can get in the description here. And finally, Ezoic. They have been working with me for a while. You can check out their tool Leap. There's no page view minimum to work with Ezoic, so you can check it out via the Access Now link in the description. And thanks everyone in the chat for confirming that you could hear me. We got Bill, Daniel, L Couch, and yeah, it looks like a small intimate crew today. I didn't send out the notification email. You can sign up for notifications, and most of the time you will get them. I've sent out several emails this week since I was launching the course. So I just kind of treaded lightly, and I kind of ran out of time. I did a bunch of recording yesterday. I was kind of away from my desk quite a bit. But you can sign up to get those notifications for the live streams. And like I said, this week was a little bit funny because of my schedule. All right. So we got the classic question, which is the topic today, how to find a niche. And Khan is saying how to find a profitable niche for Amazon affiliate. Cool. So basically, there's a few main approaches, and I encourage you to try a few of these things, and then hopefully you'll get some additional ideas. And this is one of those situations where you should certainly treat it as brainstorming, getting a lot of ideas out of your head. And then hopefully you'll come across a good idea or several of them that you can kind of look at. Now, we do get this question all the time, and most of the time it's a little bit difficult to answer because I believe it's really personal. And I actually just did an interview that's going to come out in a few weeks. And this guy, Jake, he created a site around something that he was interested in. So that's like the number one thing. It's really good to have an interest in the topic. Otherwise, you are probably going to get bored with it. Or when things get a little tough, it's going to be a little too easy just to quit working on it. So we'll go through a couple things that you can do to come up with ideas. And specifically, you mentioned Amazon affiliate. That's just one portion of it, especially with multi-profit site. I mean, it's right there in the name. you're earning from different sources. And I think that's important. You don't have to earn from different sources from the get-go, but it's really good to have that option. So we have Amin on, what's going on, and David as well. David is one of the moderators, so thanks for helping out. I will answer other questions as well. I see Bogdan has a question, so we'll come back to that one because it's not directly related to the topic of today. So we'll try to cover the topic area about choosing a niche, and then we'll shift over to answering some questions. And quick note, now that we have a handful more people on, it'll be we do have sponsors for these live streams. I don't charge, I don't ask for super chats, I don't do anything else. I just answer everyone's question. So it's really important to hop over and support the sponsors. Even if you don't buy anything, just click over there and email them, hit them up on chat, ping them on social media to let them know that you appreciate the sponsorship. Okay, so let's go over a few of the things that you can do to come up with some niches. So one of them is just like pure brainstorming, and it's a little brute force. It's a little bit tough. You may hit some writer's block or something like that where you just can't think of anything. And in those cases, I think honestly, it's pretty good to just get bored. Just get bored, go for a walk. Don't have your phone with you or don't have notifications on. Don't get distracted. You'll come up with different ideas if you don't have so many inputs. I mean, the inputs are good, they fill your brain with ideas and stuff, but sometimes you just have to, let those ideas percolate and develop on their own. And if you're constantly getting input, it doesn't really help you come up with new ideas. So one thing you can do is just get a sheet of paper and start writing down your ideas. Just like I said, pure brainstorming. Write down things you're interested in. Write down things that you used to be interested in, things you want to spend time on, but maybe you're too busy and you don't have time. Maybe it's something that you want to do, but it's too expensive. Just brainstorm. Write all these ideas down. It could be sort of broad, like learning to play an instrument or learning a language. Maybe it's travel. And then maybe you come up with the idea of like travel, and then you start listing all the places you want to go to. So you can sort of slice and dice it and come up with a broad idea and then go down a rabbit hole and get much more specific as you go. So pure brainstorming, write down as many ideas as you can come up with, go for a walk, sleep on it, come back later, write down more ideas. The more ideas you generate, the easier it will be to come up with more ideas. Most of your ideas, they're going to suck. I'll just be honest with you. Some of them are going to be dead ends. Most of them, they're just going to be dead ends. But you have to sort through those bad ideas to get to the good ones. So it's tough. And that's, one of the great things is like everyone's going to approach this differently. You're going to have different interests. If you do get stuck, you can maybe put yourself in someone else's shoes. It could be a fictional person even. So you could think of a character that you like on your favorite TV show or a movie, something like that. Book, a character in a book. Put yourself in those shoes and think about what they might like. Or maybe you have a relative that has a broad set of interests and you could write down what they may be interested in. In fact, maybe you sit down with them, or maybe you go to a social gathering and you're like, hey, what are you into right now? Like, what are hobbies? And all the questions I just asked, what are hobbies you used to have? What are things you're doing right now? What do you want to maybe check out? You don't even know if it's a viable route or not. So just all these different brainstorming ideas will help you come up with some ideas. The sort of best thing that you can do is find something that you are interested in. And this was, I brought it up earlier. The person that I interviewed earlier, he started a site in 2019. I don't want to spoil the whole the whole thing, but he started a site in 2019. In the summer of 2021, he quit his job and he's been making 5 to 6K per month for like the last 18 months or so. So he quit his job a while back and he's been doing great. The funny thing is that he was a really slow starter with his site. He only published like one article per month. This interview is coming out in a few weeks, so keep an eye out for it. It's with Jake. And he's doing really well. He was able to quit his job. He started really slow. I'll say it again. He only published about one article per month for the first year. And he dabbled around, tried a couple of different things. And eventually he realized that after he published the content, he was starting to get traffic. So he was like, I need to publish more content. So it was something that he was interested in anyway. He was in the niche. He's a member of the community. In the interview, we actually reveal, he tells us what the niche is. He doesn't tell us the site, but he tells us what the niche is. So keep an eye out for that. Be sure you subscribe to the channel if you are not, so that you see when it comes out. So number one, brainstorming. I see there's many questions here, and I'm going to hop over. I think some of them are relevant. So we're going to go through a few of these pieces here. We're going to answer some questions, go through it. All right. And I have probably 2 to 3 other areas that you could think about for finding a niche. So the first one is brainstorming, and I gave you several ideas there. For the people that just hopped on, I will mention my course, MultiProfit Site, is open for enrollment till the end of the day on Friday. There is a bonus available. So if you're interested, you could follow the link in the description there. And if you have any questions, let me know. I think we do have a few questions in here. Okay, so Bogdan says, I have 15,000 PW, but I can't start writing more content. It's too boring for me. I have 45 posts. What is 15,000 PW? I'm not sure. What is PW? Someone let me know. Amin, what's going on? And Amin mentions to check out Mile High Fi. It's my other podcast. It's about financial independence. You can check that out. Probably a link in the description here. And so the second part of Bogdan's question is, I can't start writing more content. It's too boring for me. So, when you think about what I just mentioned, pick something you're interested in, and then it won't be too boring. So you have a couple options here. Number one, you could pick something you're more interested in. If you're not interested now, there's a chance you might get more interested in the future if you start earning more money, but it's always going to be a drag. So number one, you could pick another niche, move on. Number two, you could hire writers to write it for you, and then you won't have to worry about it. Number three, this one potentially could be unpopular, and please don't take any disrespect, but some of the stuff we do is work, and it's going to be boring. So you could pull your boots up and do the fucking work, and you could sell the site in the future. You can move on, but the honest answer is, if it's boring and you're trying to write it, it's boring to you and you're trying to write it, the people are probably not going to be interested in it. And if it's boring for you and it's work you don't want to do, don't do it. Like, go do something else. No one's making you do it. So I would suggest you figure out what you want to spend your time on and then spend time on that. If it's boring for you, fuck it. Go do something else. You're the one that is choosing to do the work. So if you don't want to do that work, go somewhere else. If it's boring, do something exciting. You want to be excited about the work you're doing. All right, Khan says, what tool are you using for keyword research? Use whatever tool you want. It really doesn't matter. I use keywords everywhere sometimes. If I'm in Google, I use KW Finder is typically what I'm using for pure keyword research. But Honestly, it doesn't matter. Some people will say you have to use this or that, or they really like a certain tool. Find one that you like and use it. Couch says, on your course, if you're signing up for the standard option, is there lifetime access? Yeah, it's lifetime access. So I believe in the FAQs, it does tell you there's lifetime access. And you're saying maybe you're misunderstanding. Yes. So there's a 1 year, there's two payment options, and it's on the website. I won't go too deep into it here. If you pay the one-time payment, the single payment, you save about 15%, give or take. If you don't want to pay the one-time payment, there's a 12-month payment plan. You have lifetime access for the course, though. And Rolando says, you're very happy with the course, but you're suffering with the niches. So it's certainly something you have to, churn through a little bit, and we'll get to some of the other ideas today. Finding Fitness says, can we index our articles using Google Cloud Console Rank Math plugin? I don't know. I did just publish a video about an hour ago, something like that, a few minutes ago, where I published 47 articles all in one day, and then I tell you how long it takes to index. So check out the video, and you can make a decision on your own. I don't know about that tool. I would say just don't rush it. Usually people are just a little impatient. Couch says, is multi-profit site upgradable? So if you start with standard, yes. So that would be a fully manual process, but we could do it if you decide later that you want to upgrade in some capacity. There are 3 packages you could choose from, but yeah, you can upgrade. Just let me know what you're interested in when the time's right. If you wanted to upgrade, we would just prorate things to make it right. All right. And Bill said something that removed a comment. Okay. It's all good. I don't know what you did. Bill, you seem fine. You're respectful. Okay. Masawar says, what's a method for keyword research? So this is not really the focus of today, but you can look at a couple recent videos where I literally go through like long tail keyword research using a specific tool. You can use the keyword golden ratio. There's a lot of different options, and it's beyond the scope of what we'll cover today because it's so outside. So how do you do keyword research? There's a lot of different ways. It is fresh on my mind because I just talked to Jake and interviewed him for the upcoming interview. Said interview a lot in that sentence, but basically Jake, who is making 5,000 to 6,000 per month, he said, I use keywords everywhere and Google auto suggest. So he literally just goes Google auto suggest, and he gets a rough idea of the keyword volume from keywords everywhere, but I don't even think it matters that much to him. He has a, handful of articles doing pretty well, and he knows the niche. So he knows what keywords are good. He did say, and this will bring us to our next point, he goes to Reddit, into Facebook groups, and to forums to confirm keywords that he has seen to see if there's really much discussion about it. Are other people asking about this? Are people interested? If people actually do ask, are there a lot of responses back, a lot of opinions? And he'll gauge whether or not he is interested in writing any content around it. So you can go just to Google, use a simple keyword research tool that will give you the search volume. Jake doesn't even do any competition analysis. He doesn't care too much. He just finds keywords that he knows are pretty good. He'll do a bunch of research on the topic and move forward from there. You can use tools. Khan just asked about, what tools I use. You can use, a lot of people love Ahrefs. A lot of people use SEMrush, KW Finder. Some people love Ubersuggest. There's a ton of tools, and frankly, it's just a commodity at this point. All of them are fine. Any of them can do the job you need it to do. I think there could be some older ones that, maybe they haven't been updated properly, something like that. No, I don't have any in mind, by the way, but if you run across a tool and you see the interface is old or something like that, and you're like, this is just kind of clunky to use, test out other ones. There's tons of keyword research tools out there, and whichever one, you enjoy using, stick with that one. I don't really care. And that's, a lot of people really prescribe the tools that one should use, but I've talked to and interviewed and actually used many different tools in the past. And it's really the person behind the tool. It's not the specific tool. No one is successful because they use the specific tool. There's the old Stephen King quote, or maybe people just credit Stephen King for it, but he was at a writing conference or something. And someone asked him what pencil he uses. It doesn't matter what the pencil is. He could use anything. He could type it or, whatever. The pencil is irrelevant. He could write it with a crayon or a stick in the dirt. It's all the ideas. It's everything else, not the pencil. So it's kind of you could use whatever. And it's not a bad question because some tools are, easier for some people to use for whatever reason. But check whichever one you like and then stick with it. Okay, so I'm going to try to get through a couple more questions here. Make sure we're on track. And then I'll give you the second idea around choosing a niche. And quick note, if you're able to, hit the thumbs up. We got about 10 here. One of them's mine. And if you could hit the thumbs up, that would be helpful. Robin says, for many, this is an alternative for a boring job or a job that you don't like. So this should not be that. So just keep doing your job. Yeah. So if you are bored with something, there are many other things you could do. If you're bored with the topic, find something else. No one's making you do it. If you picked one and you've invested time, that's a sunk cost, you can move on from here and you'll be better off. You want to get energy and be excited about whatever it is you're working on. Thanks for the thumbs up, man. All I have to do is ask and it rolls in. Thank you. All right, Daniel says, I'm suffering from shiny object syndrome. I picked up a niche, which is broad, pets, but you're thinking of other niches. You need to focus, but there's so many good niches. So Daniel, you're in a spot. This is great because what happens, like once you kind of get moving, all of a sudden there are way too many opportunities out there. And you realize there's like 50 things you want to go after. So here's what you do, Daniel. Write them down, keep a list, try not to waste too much time on them. And I mean, like, don't do too much like keyword research because you're like, I came up with a good idea. You're like, let me just look at a couple keywords. And then you dive in a little too much. And then you're like, let me see if there's a good domain. I'll go ahead and pick it up now. Next thing you know, am I right? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in comments if you're watching the replay. You're like, yeah, I picked up like 20 domains and I don't have time to work on any of them. So write it down, write down the niche idea. Try not to spend too much time on it. If you can't help yourself and you do a little keyword research, that's okay. Don't do too much. You can write down those keywords. You can just table it. And the great thing is you can work on all the things you want to. You can start a business. You can start a restaurant. You can do all the stuff that you want to work. You could travel for 6 months. You could take 2 years off and write a book or whatever you want to do. You can't do them all at the same time, though. So if you can just get the idea out of your head and then focus on the thing that you're working on now, you'll be way better off. And Susie does say, if I'm getting it right, as long as there's a discussion, i.e. interest, it could be a good keyword regardless of the volume. Susie, technically, sort of. So this was just a specific example from an interview that I did. I think you probably should be fine if there's interest and discussion about a specific topic, people are indeed interested in it. As long as that isn't your sole kind of keyword. As long as you have other types of keywords, you probably could be okay. Now, the thing is, you might be okay finding those topics and then writing about it and never look at the search volume, because you could see that there is content on it and you can see people are searching for it and they are interested in the topic. So generally it could be okay. I think you run into an issue, and it came up on one of these live sessions. Someone said there's a strategy to only go after keywords that have a 0 search volume. That could work if it's a search term that people are searching for, just a very small number that rounds down to 0. But if it's literally like weird search phrases that people don't search for and it's 0, well, that's not going to work. If someone's searching for monkey, lens, apple, those things are not laying around here. But if people are not searching for it because it's just random words put together, well, that's not going to work, even though technically if you go after 0 search volume terms, if no one's searching for it, then it doesn't make any sense. So yes, you just have to, use your logic and see how the discussion is going. And I mean, you could even, another great place to do some research would be just YouTube and podcast, right? So I spend so much time watching YouTube, listening to podcasts, and just looking. You could find titles and topics that are covered inside podcast. And I'm listening to some of these very long podcasts. Occasionally, I can't do too many of them because I just get like, it's too much, too much going on. But there's a podcast called Huberman Lab, and it's about like health and fitness and neurology and a bunch of other stuff, very academic focused, or at least an approach that is very academia. And there are subtopics all through the whole discussion, sometimes, 2 to 4 hours. Lex Friedman is like this too. And you could like go through the specific outline, and each one of those bullet points could probably be several different topic ideas. So let's see. We have a few more questions coming in, but I am going to come back and I am going to give us another area of finding a niche. So I see a bunch of people just hopped on, so thanks a lot. So we talked about brainstorming before, and now Khan's question was actually really specific around Amazon affiliate, and that is a great place because that is where purchases are made. So whether you're focusing mostly on product reviews or mostly on informational topics, if you find something where there's a lot of products, usually there's more advertising attached to it in some capacity. So one great thing that you can do is just focus on Amazon and just hop around and see what's out there. So I think I shared my screen properly here. So yeah, you could just hop over to Amazon and do your research there. And I encourage you to look at areas that you are interested in. If you're into gaming and stuff, you could go spend time there. But you should also venture out to areas that maybe you didn't even think of. Maybe you're not part of the industry. You don't necessarily want to aim for something that you're not interested in, but it can give you ideas. And one cool thing is you might come up with an idea or a niche that has some overlap in different areas. So it could be, we'll just use sort of a generic idea and say something about like hiking boots or hiking in general, but you can look at hiking boots and then go across and look at all the different kinds of users. So maybe like hiking boots for kids or toddlers, hiking boots for beginning hikers, hiking boots for women, hiking boots for seniors, hiking boots for people with weak ankles or something like that. So there's all these different kinds of users, and you may come up with that idea. I guess Mother's Day is coming up here, so we have all these different homebody mom, we have a travel mom, different stuff like that. So you should go venture out into areas that you're not necessarily interested in, areas that you didn't think of, and you may find yourself in, kind of a cool pocket of the internet. So let's look at, and I'm just going to sort of arbitrarily click around here. So actually, I like coffee. So here is a French press, and we end up in this area here. So I'm not going to zoom in specifically, but I'll read it out. So we have the breadcrumbs here, and we see home and kitchen. Then we see kitchen and dining, and then coffee, tea, espresso, coffee makers, and then French presses. So you can go up different levels here and have a site in, any one of these, and it would be okay. I think French press is probably a little too narrow, but you could aim just for coffee, right? So this is coffee makers, but you could aim just for the coffee niche specifically. You can go a level up and go to the sort of the hot beverage area, and then you have coffee, tea, espresso. You can throw in hot chocolate, another warm beverage. My wife likes hot chocolate a lot. And then all of a sudden you have all these different products. You have carafes and pitchers, you have grinders, which quick story, I bought a grinder from a homebrew shop a few years ago. And I mean, it was like 10 years ago. It was a good coffee grinder. And funny thing, like I think within a year or so, like the button to start the grinder broke. So it was like the rigid plastic and the button broke, but you could still reach inside and push the little mechanism to start it. So I basically used the grinder, like sticking my hand inside the little hole where the button broke, and I would like push the little mechanism, and it worked fine for about 9 more years. Recently, it died. The grinder piece, there was some sort of a plastic piece in there that eventually wore out. And I mean, I used the thing like every fucking day for nearly 10 years. So it worked pretty good. We needed to upgrade. So we got a new one, actually a little bit of a nicer one. I think it's an OXO brand, but it's another burr grinder, but it's a conical burr grinder. So there's like this drill bit thing in there. It's a very heavy grinding mechanism. And I was grinding coffee like 2 days ago, and it like stopped. Like the motor kept running, but no more coffee was coming out. I was like, oh shoot, maybe a bean's in there sideways or something. So I'm shaking it up, trying to figure it out. Hit the button again, and I was like, oh no, it's still not working. I'm like, oh shoot, I'm gonna have to take the thing apart. It's morning. I obviously don't have my coffee yet because I'm working with the grinder there. There was a rock wedged in there. It was, the size of a coffee bean. And crazy enough, the first time I've ever had coffee with a rock in it. And it was in the brand new grinder. Luckily, it does have a mechanism so you could like take out the drill bit piece, and then I was able to get it out. I was trying to like wedge it out. I forgot it would come apart again. No coffee yet. So I was like trying to wedge the rock out. I'm like, it is stuck in there really, really hard. So eventually I was able to like, I mean, it still wasn't easy to like unscrew the mechanism, but I got it out. The grinder seems okay. The point is, uh, you know, coffee and warm beverages are a good thing. So You can start browsing around and find an area where people are passionate about it. You can do like further research if you go and find forums or communities where it's all about coffee. There are some. You can go to YouTube and do research as well. If there's channels that have like all this content and they cover it, like, there's a big community out there. You shouldn't view the fact that there is content and people that are, ahead of you, they've been working on it for a little while. That's a good sign. It shows that there's an audience out there. And, you could do reviews on any one of these areas. And there are many, many products inside here. So if you went and, there's machines, but there's stuff that you wouldn't necessarily think of, like the drink stirrers. I guess these are little, what are the, oh, these are just like the little wooden pieces. So maybe not as lucrative. I wasn't quite sure what these were. So these are just like little plastic disposable things. But it is something that you could look at and, write reviews for it if you wanted to. I think I was thinking of maybe like frothers, like the spinner things here. So yeah, so there's all these different kinds of devices. And once you start looking, again, even if you're not a coffee person, it can give you some ideas on what you can approach. As I mentioned, you can look at areas that you're not typically interested in. And we started off there from, I think, maybe Homebody Mom, something like that. But you, of course, can go to different areas. And I do encourage you to find stuff that you are interested in. So if we just look at Pet Mom, I think we did have a question like, I'm in a broad niche on pets, right? So here we end up with Pet Mom. So we have a Cat Mom hat. We have some sort of other harnesses and little bandanas. And whoa, look at that. Look at those guys. That's a good picture. Got my attention. Some sort of a fur situation here. A lint roller. Okay. So anyway, you get the idea. You could hop over on Amazon, start browsing around. And what you're looking for is things that are interesting. You're looking for different products. Some people are really interested in like the volume of products. I never paid too much attention, but you could look and see like, oh, there's like 100,000 ratings here for this thing. So they're selling a lot of those. You can look at the related items, of course. So there's like all these different competitive items and just go through and kind of get an idea like what these browsers are interested in, other products, related products, and so on. And this leads us to, right, so this is how it can work. You hop over and you're like, oh, vacuum cleaners. And then you are in this whole other area. So you're like vacuum cleaners and pets, like that's another idea. So once you start browsing around, hopefully you will find your list that you brainstorm earlier and then some of the products. So again, I recommend you go through, these different areas, right? So you brainstorm stuff, you go look on Amazon, go look on Share a Sale or one of the other affiliate marketplaces where there's a bunch of different programs there. And then look at your list and you'll start combining these ideas. It will take a little bit of time. You may have to brainstorm for a while, take a break, do something else. But the more you exercise this idea, the more you're going to end up like Daniel here, who is coming up with too many niches and you don't have enough time to work on them. So once you exercise that muscle, you're a little more efficient with it. Okay, let's hit some more questions. And I think I do have the niche website builders little banner here. So they sponsor these segments and you can save 10% if you get a link building package, 10% more content if you order content, or 10% more content if you get a done for you site. You can get those coupon codes by following the link in the description. So, Amin does say, yeah, browsing Amazon is a good move, and feel free to ask questions as we are hitting more questions here. Rolando says, it's good that you touch on the subject. How many keywords should be analyzed to choose the niche? So in multi-profit site, generally, I say if you could find really just a handful. So it's within the course, specifically in the worksheet and in the videos and stuff. But generally, if you can find a handful of keywords, like 5 to 10 keywords with a sort of medium search volume of 720 to 2500, not many, right? If you could find a handful of those and then a handful of keyword golden ratio terms for each one of those, you will have a fine start. You'll have plenty of keywords to work on. And the thing is, if you could find 5 to 7 keywords and then a handful of long tail, you're going to be able to find more keywords in the future. So, like I just showed you, if you find a product area, say coffee, and you start browsing the products, all of a sudden there's like, I don't know, say 30 products product types, right? So coffee grinder, a coffee maker, espresso maker, the little K cup style coffee makers. There are other little accessories and stuff. So you can come up with a handful of different products. You then can make them more specific keywords. So best coffee maker for a certain application, best coffee maker with a grinder, best coffee maker for strong coffee, best coffee maker for one person, a full family with carafes, that sort of thing. So basically, if you could find a handful of products, you could find a handful of keywords, and then you should be okay. Once you get started, again, I'll pick on Daniel because you gave such a great question that illustrates the point. Once you get started, you're going to have too many things, too many niches that you could work on. So you just have to get started. And then after that, you're going to have too many ideas. And it'll, instead of being a struggle to figure out the niche, it'll be a struggle to not work on too many things. Alina says, do you suggest checking the trend data when doing keyword research? Sure, there's no harm in it. Zach, what's going on? You're a little bit late, but I think you typed that in like 15 minutes ago. Okay, so Musawar says, how much KD of keywords can compete for fresh site? So what keyword difficulty? It depends on the niche and it depends on the quality of the content and a number of other things. So I can't really answer that very well. All right, Bill says, I have a geo domain. So you're starting with the history for the area and then you're building it into different niches from there. Does that kind of make sense? History of the area and then different niches from there. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. I'm not 100% Bill sure, like Bill, what you're trying to do, but if it's clear to you, then that's all that matters. It's probably good to have an example of another site that has done something similar. That's usually helpful. And Adrian's on, another one of our moderators. So I'm going to let my voice rest for a second. I'm going to roll the clip from Niche Website Builders and the feature domain. This is a really quick clip for today. So let's roll that and then I'll be back to answer more questions. I think this is the right one. Odys Global, that's ODYS. They sponsor these and they make it possible. And Odys is the source for premium age domains. And the featured domain for today is ripplesadvisory.com. and this is a 7-year-old domain. There are quite a few referring backlinks. We see, I think, in the hundreds for the just all of the referring domains, 705. And if we look at the do follow, it is a little bit fewer at 124, but still quite a few. And this was kind of an interesting domain that it basically was about stock market tips and other financial advice. Of course, the financial services industry is ultra competitive, and it's one of those, well, literally your money or your life situations. So, if you already have a site in the financial space, it'd be a great one to check out and redirect. Otherwise, if you wanted to start in the space, it'd be a great way to get a leg up, especially if you were focusing on specifically like stock tips and that sort of thing. And I think, for me personally, I'm not a stock market person. You obviously would need to be very careful about giving maybe financial advice or anything like that. But if you were in the finance space in general, it's something that you could use to your advantage and have this history behind it in general. The other piece is you, of course, could sort of pivot and go to other areas which are more trendy at this point in time, maybe something like crypto or some of the specifics around that. So check out Odys, that's ODYS. If you join using my affiliate link, you can get $100 into your account, and I might get a commission if you do buy anything in the future. And thanks a lot to Odys. Again, they make these possible. All right, and we're back. We lost the focus here, and we got a couple more questions to get to. So, just a quick recap. So, I went over just brainstorming in general, gave you plenty of ideas if you're stuck or if you haven't done much brainstorming before. And then you can look through Amazon. So, if you're just joining up, definitely like rewind the video and then watch just sort of what you can stumble into just clicking around. Okay. Musawar says, how do you research content? So Google it. Check out some of the top ranked content and just read it. Pay attention to the subheadings. You can go a little bit deeper too if there's a specific product that's out there. One great thing you can do is go to the manufacturer's website and find the user manuals, the instructions for the product. And usually there's a lot of good information in there. And it's, freely available. You don't have to like go buy the product. Like you can just read the user manual. And then that's a great start to get more information, have FAQs, have information directly from the manufacturer. And usually that, manual is not a very good web format. So you can get a ton of information from there. And it's really just, researching and reading. So however you research anything else, you could do it the same way. Robin says, if I write in my language and translate it to English, is that seen as duplicate content when done on another website or domain? I don't think so. So I haven't investigated this specifically, but I don't think that is an issue. One quick example, and you're saying it's on another website or a domain. So this is not a direct analogy or comparison, but I think Neil Patel publishes his blog, neilpatel.com, in multiple different languages, and I'm pretty sure it's not seen as duplicate content. Minaj says, Google is becoming strict on product reviews with multiple updates. Is the future secure for affiliates? So we get this question all the time. And Minaj, I'm curious, you have a lot of questions like this. You're a great audience member and asking questions. A lot of it is kind of like pre-taking action questions. So I'm curious, Minaj, do you have a website already? Are you earning money? Are you thinking about doing it and you hang out and you're curious like, "Oh, should I even spend my time on this?" I'm just curious your background and stuff. So number 1, I cannot tell the future. So is it secure for affiliates? I don't know. I mean, Google can change their algorithm. Of course, they change it all the time. Amazon, right? If you're focusing on Amazon, they can change their commission rate structure. They've done it in a major way at least 2 times, and they adjust it on a minor basis frequently, little tweaks here and there. So both of those are questionable, right? It's like, oh, what are we going to do? I've been working on niche sites and stuff for about almost 9 years now. And when I started, people were basically asking the same question. So again, I can't tell the future. I don't know. Are things going to change? Certainly, yeah, things have shifted a ton in the 9 years I've been doing this. But the skills that you learn are valuable no matter what you do. So, should you put everything that you have into one specific thing? Well, only you can answer that. I have no idea. Are things going to change? For sure. Is Google trying to stay ahead of like bad content in the grand sense, right? I'm not saying I agree with how Google treats things or anything like that, but are they like like at least broadly moving in the right direction of like getting people the information that they're trying to find? Probably most of the time they're at least trying to do that. Is there like a lot of mess and stuff after an algorithm update? Yeah, definitely. But the point is, you're probably going to learn skills that are really useful for the future and other things that you're going to work on. So the question is the future secure for affiliates? Probably as secure as like any other thing that you could do, right? Let's say you want to have a healthcare startup, could be very lucrative. Maybe you're thinking, I want to have like 100 people working for me. One piece of legislation could tank your company, and there's nothing you could do about it. So, no matter what you're looking at, there's some risk involved. If there's no risk and it's easy, then there's probably not much profit in it. If it's riskier and you're taking a chance and laws could impact your business and the industry, there's probably not going to be nearly as much competition. But one little change could screw things up. So it's up to you, like what you want to spend your time on. Okay. And Minaj says you have an affiliate website and it's not earning very much, but it is earning some and you'll publish more articles. Yeah. So I don't know. Is the future secure? I think it's kind of, something to keep an eye on that after you get established, it's probably a good idea to diversify in different areas. So after you start getting traffic from one area, maybe you want to make sure you're getting it from another area too. Or maybe you want to diversify your revenue streams so it's not just from one source, but it's from many different sources. John, what's going on? John's in here from Auckland. What's happening? And Couch says, thanks for the answers. And you read the FAQ. Sure. You may have missed it, but will be offered later this year. Yeah, so I open up the course a few times a year, so it will be later on this year. And as far as promo codes, so one of the things I don't do, promo codes or anything like that, I don't discount the course. So it's just a business choice for me. I don't do Black Friday deals. In fact, this past year, I didn't even promote other people's Black Friday deals. So I don't discount my products. I do these free things, right? These free live streams. I have some advertisers that help support these, but I don't discount my stuff because I don't want to train people to wait for discounts or anything like that. And I know some businesses do, huge amounts of business on Black Friday, but people are waiting for Black Friday. So I don't discount my stuff, no promo codes. There are bonuses. So I do add some bonuses. So the bonus, which you know, these live events are not live events, these live streams are not specifically to sell the course, although I want to talk about it a lot, right? But there is a free $150 bonus course that is offered. So I think you probably saw it. It's a productivity course, but no discounts, no discounts at all. All right. John says, site security. Do I have any go-to plugins? And how important is site security? Super important. Should you rely on hosting and WordPress theme updates for security? No. So I don't remember the exact plugins that I use, but one thing, there's a few plugins that do it. So kind of similar to the answer about the keyword research tools, there's other plugins that do the thing that I described. So one thing is you can set up your login URL to be different than the default. So nichesiteproject.com/wp-login.php, that's like the default login URL. You could change that to something else. So if someone tries to go to the login page, it's just a 404 error. And if you make it it doesn't even have to be that weird. If you just make the URL something different to login, you'll have way fewer brute force attempts on your site. The other big piece is to have offsite backups. So don't rely on your hosting company. You should have offsite backups that you can restore on your own without help from other people. So that gives you a little insurance. Usually you'll have like an archive of those. So it's a daily backup. So even if you don't check on your site every single day or anything, you can hop in and see, oh no, somehow my site has been compromised. Maybe a plugin failed to update or some kind of issue happened. And you could go back and restore it to whatever 35 days previous before that issue happened. Now, sure, you're going to miss out on anything in the last 35 days, but you're able to restore your site. So don't rely on the hosting company. Even if they're like, hey, we have offsite backups and blah, 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 you should have your own that you can restore on your own. This is the one thing that I'll mention. It's very cheap and I'm not an affiliate. It's Managed WP. I think that's what it's called, right? Managed WP. I think it's a GoDaddy product. I think GoDaddy bought that company, but it's only like $1.80 per site. And you can do daily backups. You can actually manage a lot of different websites on the one dashboard. So you could like update all of your sites all at once and make sure all the plugins are up to date and have backups. It'll back up before it updates the WordPress theme or the plugins or whatever. So very usable. For the people that just hopped on, my course MultiProfit site is open for enrollment just for 2 more days. You can get more information in the description there. There's a link. It's the first link in there. Daniel says, I have a lot of keywords like can pets eat or do X. Would you recommend 1 post per keyword or a post for each different pet type, making it a very long post? There's no right or wrong answer as far as I know. I think you could find examples of each. I would probably do the 1 post per keyword unless it's very closely related. So when you're looking at it, if it makes sense for you, think of the visitor on the other side, the searcher, and do what seems most natural and most helpful for the person searching for the information. So if they're looking for something specific, but they have to like scroll through all this other content and it's hard for them to find, that may not be the best way to do it. So I'd probably do them separately. All right, Chris, what's going on? Yeah, and Rolando says, I can't see the future either, but the internet was created as a trade route, so monetizing will never end. Yeah, and I mean that's one of the points that I've often made. It's like if you have traffic, like you can figure something out. If people want to get in front of your audience, people will figure something out. All right. Jill, what's all going on? You're late. Yep, we're about to wrap up here shortly, but we do have quite a few people. Couch says you're grateful for the live streams and you understand discounts and you're looking for the bonuses. Cool. Yep. And it's yeah, it's very interesting. I think it was like the people that I learned from didn't discount their products. And I was like, that's good. It's like they keep it at a premium. They actually the people that I learned from were much bigger. So I was going to say, they're not selling quite as many products. They're selling plenty of products. So I'm not worried about them at all. But it made sense to me to have like have a premium product and have like a brand that isn't a race to the bottom. So there's some people that almost always like they just run discounts all the time, every month or two. And it drives sales and I guess it works for them, but it's like, well, it's a fine business model, just not the one I'm trying to do. Yeah. So it wouldn't work for me. And I typically don't do the discounts. The only time, and it's been a while even, but the only time is if I have a brand new course or brand new offer and it's the beta version. And it'll maybe be a little bit less polished. And that works pretty well. And I feel fine giving the discount for that because it's less polished. It's an earlier version and it works out. All right. Hossein says, I have a new site. There's 37 articles posted. Nowadays, monthly visitor from the US is 2,000. Is it fine for the site based on 37 articles? Please advise. That seems fine. I think you're moving in the right direction. How old is the site? So this is kind of it's a hard question to ask and you're just trying to figure out if you're moving in the right direction. You're getting 2,000 visitors is that per day or per month? Per month. So you're getting a few visitors. That's good. You're moving in the right direction. Questions like this are tough to answer because there's too many variables. There's many variables and we don't have enough information. But yeah, if you're getting traffic, that's good. I've heard of people that have 137 articles and they get 20 visitors a month. So you're certainly moving in the right direction. So keep publishing, keep doing what you're doing. Shout out ask more questions if you have them. But as we're wrapping up here, shout out to Niche Website Builders. You can get content from them. I just published a video earlier today. I published 47 articles all in one day. And in the video, I let you know how long it took for them to be indexed. So I know people have trouble with indexing, and the site that I explain, and I talk about the background of the site, basically it has some traffic. So it's a little bit different than if you're starting from scratch and you're like, oh, my site's 2 weeks old. How long will it take to get indexed? It's a little bit different for a brand new site. And the site that I am talking about in the video that I'm working on with Niche Website Builders, it is out of the sandbox. So, check it out. Check out that video and leave a comment on the video. I know it is a hot topic about how long it takes to get indexed. In fact, there was a question earlier about using something. I don't even know what it is. Using something to like index faster. And I think even though it might take longer, generally you're probably going to be better off, or at least not wasting your time doing things that don't work at all. And I don't know if whatever the question was about, I don't know if that does work, but I have a hunch that if everybody used it, then it would cease to work and it wouldn't matter. So generally, I think, patience comes out on top. The other sponsor to thank is Ezoic, so definitely check them out. No page view minimums, and Odys, the source for aged premium domains. All right, Rolando says, what do I think about your first site being broad, targeting a niche of people about of a specific age and not a sub niche? I think generally that's probably fine. I don't know. One of my friends is another entrepreneur type, and basically the answer to any question where it was is like, hey, here's a scenario, will this work? And provided it's reasonable. The answer, Rolando, is you know what, I don't know. Why try it and let us know. Try it and you'll learn stuff. So I don't see why that wouldn't work. Again, this is a reasonable idea. So there are some proposals and hypotheses that are not reasonable. That one seems reasonable. I haven't done that myself. The other piece that makes it difficult is if I proposed a great niche, gave everybody the same keywords, gave everybody the same hosting, we're all using the same theme. If 10 of us worked on it, not everybody is going to be successful. And people are looking for permission or a blessing or security so that they're not wasting their time. And we just don't know what's going to happen. And even if we start out with the same hosting, theme, keywords, niche, if I hire the writers for you, we all move forward, there still could be external factors, number one, beyond our control, but sometimes people screw things up. So even if I gave you the content, someone could do something that would make it not work for them, but it worked for someone else. So there's just too many variables. So what do I think about being broad and then targeting a specific age? Sure, I don't see any like inherent problems with it. Is that the best approach? I don't know. It seems fine. I don't know if it's the best one. Could it work? Will it work good enough where you could like pivot and figure it out? Sure. It should probably, you should get some information from the world once you start publishing. So, okay. The other thing I'll mention too is Mile High Fi. Amin listens. Thanks for the shout out. It is a podcast about financial independence and personal finance. It's a lot of fun. We have some cool guests on there. Talk to some famous people. It's pretty amazing. We've gotten some pretty big guests on. So it's worth checking out. There's a YouTube channel if you're into YouTube. All right, any other questions before we wrap up today? Any questions about MultiProfit Site, the course? And I did allude to an interview I did with Jake. And Jake I'm not sure when the episode's going to come out. It's going to be in a few weeks, I think. Probably like early to mid-May. So keep an eye out for that. He quit his job in August of 2021. He's making like 5,000 to 6,000 per month and has been for the last 18 months or so. And he actually reveals his niche when we do the interview and talks about it quite a bit. And, related to what we talked about today, choosing a niche, he picked something he was interested in. It was something that he was already thinking about, he was passionate about, and it made it much easier for him to get started and then write the content. And, one funny thing that I mentioned is he has a great site now, but he started so slow. He published one article per month in the first year. So the first year he hardly did, I mean, one article per month, not much at all, which is a sharp contrast from a lot of the stuff we hear. A lot of the success stories, people are publishing hundreds of articles as quickly as they possibly can. All right. And we have, Dan says, you have 12 articles, all KGR, 2,000 views a month, usually indexed the same day, and most hit the first page the same day. Would be more, but you've had health issues. Yep. So actually, perfect example, 2,000 page views a month, and they're KGR articles. Okay. And Rolando says, apology if you don't understand what I write. I think I understood. And you're using Google Translator. Okay. Yeah. No, I think I got you. I don't think I misunderstood, but I might have. But yeah. Whatever you described, it seemed like a okay approach. There's nothing wrong with it. All right. Yeah, nice job to Dan. 12 KGR articles. Cool. All right, so I think we got through all the questions. If you have any others, you can shoot me an email. Be sure you're subscribed to the channel. You can also sign up for the email list and be notified whenever I do the live streams. All right, and I am heading out. My voice is gonna run out if I'm not careful. So Misty, you just hopped on, but we are heading out here. Please watch the replay.